Hello there and good morning. President Macron of France has thrown a real wobbly and pulled the ambassadors to the US and Australia, and all because of a few submarines. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I put up a new video. The French are seething because they were completely outmanoeuvred on the international defence stage by Australia, the US and much more annoyingly, Brexit UK. Brexit UK was meant to be on the ropes with the mighty EU pounding it with the Northern Ireland Protocol, and with Joe Biden on their side, how could they lose? Well, in one short statement by the leaders of Australia, the UK and the US announcing the formation of AUKUS, that little scenario was sent spinning. France found itself losing a multi-billion-pound deal to sell old diesel submarines to Australia, with the UK and US stepping in to supply the Antipodeans with modern, state-of-the-art, nuclear-powered subs fit for the emerging 21st century battle space. And after a barrage of words from French politicians and a bit of stiff ignoring from the US, UK and Oz, the French president went into a tailspin and, in what I think will prove to be a very short-sighted move, pulled the French ambassadors to the US and Australia. High dudgeon in action. But it seems the ambassador to London is still in place. But to be blunt, it doesn't matter. Since Brexit, the EU has been flexing its sovereignty muscles and talking about an EU army, more control over its nation-state finances, pooling their debt, etc. So as that gathers pace, the EU ambassadors will become more important and the nation-state diplomats will diminish in importance. The price of ever closer union. But now the French are getting spiteful by talking about not interfering in rubber boat crossings anymore. And Macron might also be disappointed by the EU response to AUKUS. Instead of more Brexit UK bashing, the EU Foreign Policy High Representative Josep Borrell said he understood French disappointment and quickly unveiled the idea of the EU going it alone in the Indo-Pacific region with talks over trade, climate change, data sharing, health, infrastructure and the like, which is what they've been doing anyway, as well as a few extra member state navy ships in the area. And the EU Council President Charles Michel tweeted, "The AUKUS security partnership further demonstrates the need for a common EU approach in a region of strategic interest. A strong EU Indo-Pacific strategy is needed more than ever. I welcome today's presentation of Josep Borrell's strategy on the agenda for the October EU Council meeting." And there's also talk about hurrying along the plans for an EU reaction force. Talk about being well behind the power curve, caught well on the hop, trousers down around the ankles. And it makes France and Macron appear like bit-part players in the EU. And the EU response would all depend on the member state appetite for huge investments of German money into an EU defence capability. But what I think has really upset our mainland European neighbours is that they had not one clue that this was happening right under their noses, not one clue. It appears they assumed that the EU and France are so grand that they could never be ignored in these sorts of matters. Well, they have been, to the point they look irrelevant. After all, the EU pulls France's puppet strings, and the EU is not a nuclear power in and of itself, so why would we bother them with this? Then there's the matter of how leaky is the EU? The EU is heavily reliant on Russia for energy and is trying to cozy up with China. The Times has an article about how much secrecy surrounded this AUKUS deal, with only about 10 people knowing anything about it until the last moment. Real cloak and dagger stuff. But had France been involved, the EU would have to be involved as well. And a nanosecond later, Russia and China would be kicking up a stink as the word was leaked to them in exchange for whatever the EU wanted from them. And I do have to point out that this little exercise indicates the real political clout of the nuclear-powered submarine. And for example, going back to 1982, it was the threat of the UK nuclear submarine fleet that kept the Argentine Navy bottled up in port during the Falklands War. Now, one really crazy thought did occur to me about AUKUS. But before I get to that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. So this totally madcap thought of mine. Well, the UK has committed to replacing the Trident nuclear warheads, basing them on new US technology, and has also lifted the cap on how many warheads we might be holding at any one time. And if this new technology markedly extends the publicly announced range of our nuclear deterrent, we'll never know the top secret truth, that's for sure. If the combination of the missile system and warhead design allows for extended ranges without the submarine having to move thousands of miles to achieve the right footprint, then is an Oz base a feasible option to replace Faslane and Coulport as a sensitive part of this deal in the event of the SNP achieving Scottish independence? So the UK would be in a position to cover any threat from both Russia and China. We could conceivably negotiate an overseas territory down there to maintain our nuclear deterrent autonomy and security. After all, there has already been talk that if Nicola Sturgeon did get her way, we could operate the Trident boats from France or the US. So why not Oz? I mean, the French option has now been defenestrated, and are we really that sure about Sleepy Joe yet? But an overseas territory in Oz to operate the nuclear deterrent from, with command and control still in London? Now that would send a big signal to China. But the Oz domestic politics would be the big ask. And the vessels themselves, as well as the conventional and nuclear weaponry they carry, might need adapting to account for such things as the difference in salinity and ambient temperatures, that are all important where submarine neutral buoyancy is concerned. There would also be the added bonus of any such base being available to operate US hunter-killer submarines from as well. And non-proliferation treaties would not be breached. Now some would say that this just makes Australia more of a target for China. But I would counter with the deterrent angle. An attack on Australia would be an attack on the UK and potentially the US too. A big investment, yes, but one that would reflect the changing geopolitical landscape maybe. Just an off-the-wall thought and joining some dots together on a Saturday morning. So what's your opinion on the Macron wobbly and his ambassadors? Please like and comment below.